Hello and welcome to the Southeast Asia Federation's Education Impact Report. I am Christine Johnstone, President of SISEAP. This biennium I had 5 areas of concern, one of which was education, the other 4 being equity, economic, environment and enterprise. Our program team, headed by Dr. Donnell Davis, work and encourage members to implement projects which address these areas of concern. Soroptimists invest in education because they know that education transforms lives across the whole life cycle. In 2022, the Federation response to disasters in Australia was to provide tens of thousands of dollars of education supplies for schools and students affected by the floods. SI Bangkok have for the past 3 years provided funding to enable a school to remain open. There are many quality projects with education as their main priority theme. And today we would like to showcase SI Damansara and their Building Bridges Beyond Border project. This project, which demonstrates our ethos of education as a fundamental right for all, providing equity and inclusion, and how partnering with others strengthens the work we deliver. But first of all, I'd like to introduce to you our 3 panelists for today's discussion. So for today's discussion, we have our program convener, Dr. Donnell Davis. Welcome, Donnell. Our assistant program convener 1, Cesarina Gigante. Welcome, Cesarina. And our assistant program convener 2, Saradha Narayanan. Welcome, Saradha. All right, Saradha is going to lead us off with today's session.
Thank you, Preston Christine. Can I have the first slide, please? Building Bridges Beyond Borders is an educational collaboration between SI Damansara in Malaysia and Just Volunteers, a non-profit in UK. It has been running for the past 10 years, and we work closely with several universities, both locally and in UK, to service 5 refugee schools, all shown at the top of this chart, and 2 other local centers. Next, please. This program sprang out of a need within the refugee community in Malaysia. Based on UNHCR, there are 181,000 refugees and asylum seekers in Malaysia. I beg your pardon, asylum seekers. 85% are from Myanmar, including 103,000 Rohingyas. The rest are from 50 other countries, including Pakistan, Afghanistan, and Syria. 45,650 of these are children below the age of 18 who deserve an education. Unfortunately, Malaysia is not a signatory to the 1951 UN Refugee Convention, and these children do not have access to formal educational opportunities. During the COVID-19 lockdown, the Building Bridges project was conducted online, but with reopening of borders, we have transitioned back to face-to-face teaching while maintaining online classes in some centers. Next, please. What did we do to address these problems? The program was launched in 2011, and we worked very closely with our partner in UK, Just Volunteers. We bring in and place enthusiastic, reliable, and dedicated university students to serve as volunteer teachers and mentors in our partner homes, including MRCLC, a refugee center, Rumah Aman, a local orphanage, and Agape Home, a home for indigenous children. Following an agreement with Bath University in 2019, their students now earn credits for this placement. International students have also been sourced from the University of Durham, as well as Oxford, Cambridge, and other universities in France, Germany, US, and Spain. In addition, we also recruit local university students from Sunway, Monash, and International Islamic University in Malaysia. Next, please. I'm very proud to say that over the past 10 years, we have impacted 1,500 children from marginalized and underprivileged communities and improved their command of spoken and written English. They've improved in self-confidence, and several refugee students who were relocated to the US have successfully graduated from high school and are now gainfully employed. In addition, 28 young women volunteers were recruited and placed in 2022, and they have equally benefited from this experience, learned about a different culture, and developed leadership skills, which they describe as life-changing and fulfilling. Next, please. Corporate sponsorship has allowed us to take this program to a different level, and SI Damansara has won the Best Practice Award for Building Bridges Beyond Borders twice since 2018. This picture shows volunteers interacting with the children in refugee schools, and the one on the right shows the online program. Next, please. This picture shows our happy graduates in the USA. What other testimony do we need? Thank you for your attention.
Soroptimist International of Southeast Asia Pacific continued focus on education can be seen in the projects such as the one highlighted, advocacy, scholarship and donations that are undertaken by the clubs. Clubs continue to deliver their education-based projects and activities during COVID-19. That is not to say that other projects do not have an educational component. As we look at some of the data, please note that the 2022 figures are incomplete as reports are still being processed. Next slide. One way the Federation focuses on education for women and girls is through the scholarship program. This includes education scholarships, bursaries and grants that assist women and girls at the primary, secondary, tertiary and vocational levels of education. Secondary and tertiary level awards form the main component of the scholarship program, as can be seen in the graph. There are growing numbers of awards given to Indigenous women and girls across the Federation. The scholarship program can assist students with fees, tuition and educational supplies. They can be given on merit, financial hardship or on needs identified by their clubs in their area. Next slide, please. This slide denotes the amount of funds that have been attributed to projects and donations in the last few years with the education as the key focus. We also have some advocacy projects, and although the number of reports continue to grow, the main focus is not necessarily in education. However, many of our advocacy activities have an education component related to the awareness raising and providing information to the public and our members on issues such as the environment, refugees and the elimination of violence, which then can be used to enable further advocacy work. Thank you.
Davis. I'm the Director for Program for Southeast Asia Pacific with our team. From the previous speakers, we realise that there's a big issue. The reason why we're having this big trouble is that the rate of migration in Southeast Asia Pacific. If we look at this first risk report, which is the maps that you have there, the first risk report shows us climate change, and the second one shows us the impacts and the difference when we look at vulnerability and the ability of humans to change the situations that they're in. And this is all based on education. It also shows us why we have such great migration in our area. Next slide, please. The 2021 and 2022 results of the amount of increase on migration, Asia is only surpassed very slightly by Europe. So the extent, the increase in the rate of migration is significant, going from just under 50 million to 85 million just in that short time. So next slide, please. Now, the reasons for migration. Climate is one of them. Disaster displacement from earthquakes is another. Freedom from COVID is another. Political unrest and economic need for paid work is the reason people migrate. And there's a significant rise, as you can see. Now, the issue is when we have refugees, they're often exploited. In our federation, there's a 10%, which is conservatively calculated, rise in modern slavery and sex trafficking after COVID, despite it being very bad before. Women and girls make up over half this, and 65% of the slavery numbers relate to sexploitation, forced labour and domestic and industrial work with children as young as 10. So our young refugee women and girls are at the highest risk because without an education, they are easy pickings for illegal human trade. Some good news. Education is the crucial tool in the toolkit to give women, children and refugees more options for life. SDG 4 is about lifelong learning, formal education that begins with children's opportunities, girls continuing in education, and refugees gaining literacy as adults. This slide shows how countries have been stepping up their efforts and doing very well in the efforts for literacy measured in young adults. That gives them some real life options beyond modern slavery. Education is a pathway for empowerment and choice as an informed citizen or as a highly skilled worker, as an entrepreneur or advocate, or even an ethical politician when they get older. Community education underpins social cohesion and resilience capacities in adverse situations like conflict, disasters and disease. So ensuring girls and women have a chance to be educated in basic, intermediate or advanced skills and knowledge is the wisest long-term investment. Furthermore, girls are the key for doubling the GDP for whole countries and when women assume gender equal futures. Next slide, please. How wonderful, look at that. This image just shows some of the projects that we've got across our region and ensures that women is the key, education is the key to end poverty for a girl, a woman, a family and a community and a country. The wise long-term investment that Saradha was talking about. Educating females is the quickest path to economic security. So thank you everywhere. Thank you, Soroptimist everywhere, for all that you do in this area of education. And that brings me to a thank you for our panel today. Our wonderful president, Christine Johnson, thank you. Saradha Narayanan, I'll get it right, and Cesarina Gigante. So thank you for